T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Oh man, I don't even know what happened. Just like, why were we not on the screen? Why I wasn't on the screen. But hey everybody, happy Thursday. Why do I feel like I got mad dim all of a sudden? I feel like I gotta move my leg. I don't know what's going on. It's just, my room is like crazed. I don't know. Sorry guys. Hey everybody, happy Thursday. I am Katrina, creator and host of In Cat We Trust, but also one of the hosts and writers of Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And I am here with my lovely co-host, my sis, my tweeny twin, Shayna. How are you this Thursday?
I am doing good. It's a nice Thursday. You know, the sun, it was shining. It's a little bit dim now, but it was shining.
Yeah, it actually was pretty solid temperature-wise. I don't know, the weather's been a little weird. Like, it was really warm last week, and then it was kind of, like, windy, I think, the other day. And I was like, all right, I'm now getting blown down the block. Let's calm that down in the spring.
Warm is being nice. It was literally, like, I felt like we were in a drought. It was so hot.
I was down when it was pouring rain, and so during that the little heat wave that New York had, and so I got the pouring rain, and so it really wasn't that, like, I wouldn't know because we were stuck in the house. But yes, it is a nice day. It's a new week, and we have some new NXT stuff happening, which is a lot of action this week. And so, what are your initial thoughts about NXT this week?
Oh my gosh, I loved it, especially the Dijak and Apollo match. You know, they put their foot in that match. I'm telling you.
No, it was definitely some good action. I'm liking we had a debut. I guess for the regular NXT, so we had a debut. We had some new stuff happening with, you know, the new champion, some new matches, things happening. Bron being new Bron, more aggressive Bron. And so we had a lot of stuff happening this week. And so I thought it was a pretty solid, you know, episode as well. So let's, I guess, jump right into it. I do believe, is it this weekend? I believe that they're having the Spring Breakin'. That's this weekend?
That's going to be this coming Tuesday. I think that's like a regular Tuesday.
So, you know, this is like the little lead-up show to Spring Breakin'. And I do like that they have the pay-per-views, but they do also have the little Tuesday night little things that happen, like little special shows. And I like that they do that. I think it keeps it fresh, personally. And so this was like I don't want to say the go-home show since it's not really like a pay-per-view, but like this is like the little go-home show before that. And so, we have the first matchup, which was for the NXT Tag Team Championship, which was in a triple threat match, which I thought was really solid because, again, these are like tag teams who really can work. And so this tag team triple threat was Gallus, who is the champions, versus the Dyad and the Creed brothers. And so I was a little surprised because I don't know if you have been hearing, because they said supposedly the Dyad was asking for their release. And then I read that they got the release, but clearly they, as of right now, they're still there. And so I don't really know, if they really did, get the release, or they act like what. I guess we'll see in the next couple of weeks. But supposedly they was granted it, but maybe they weren't. But that did not stop them from actually kind of really doing their thing here. I thought that so it did kind of start off with, before, where it was like a bit of a brawl with them. And again, NXT is good for these brawls, and so there was a bit of a brawl, and like they had like all these refs kind of making sure to keep the stuff inside the ring and that everything kind of stayed contained. And so that was, pretty solid. I thought it was a really good way to start off the show. I thought this was also, because it was a bit chaotic, but not bad chaotic. Like, it was a nice, like, contained chaoticness that was happening, and I think it worked with the three teams that we had here. And so there were some moments for me that I really liked. Was like, at one point, I think Reed super kicked Mark, and then like Julius kind of kneed Reed in the face, and then he kind of fell over, and Mark and it was going to near fall. So that was pretty solid work. I think there was also a moment I liked that Brutus was kind of like bulldozed over by Wolfgang was kind of bulldozed over by Brutus. And then I kind of pinned both men at the same time with like a suplex in the leg trap type situation, which I thought was really fantastic. Little setup there. I actually really, really enjoyed that. And then there was even a part, I think Ava kind of tried to distract Julius to help Dyad, but Ivy kind of got in it, which kind of led to Brutus knocking off Reed at the top rope and into Ivy, and then she was kind of little messed up after that. However, with all that, being said with this, I really did enjoy this, and Gallus did do, a single leg drop combo, like an elevated single leg drop combo to keep the win, and they kept their belts. And so I thought this was a really good way to start the show. I thought, it was good to kind of see the Creed brothers do what they were doing. The Dyad actually delivered well in this as well, and I was like, okay, guys, they delivered as well. Ivy kind of annoyed me only because, like, sis, like, you gotta do stuff where it's not gonna land you being hurt if you're gonna interfere. But I thought this was good. I don't know if that means that the Creed brothers will be leaving soon, because we do have that draft coming up. And I feel like, as of tag team purposes right now, the Creed, NXT has a really good selection of tag teams in the male department. That it can very well be they might not even be in NXT for much longer. It's supposed to be all three brands in this draft. So what were your thoughts about the open to this and the matchups, and how it played out?
So my initial thought is I really, really enjoyed this match, and I thought that Julius and Brutus were definitely the MVPs of this match. I mean, it was like a highlight reel between, the Brutus smash, and then Julius also, he did like 4 belly to bellies and then like a kip up. I'm like, sir, come on now. This is ridiculous. Like, I am so high on them. I think they're so talented. It's like ridiculous. And it's been a little annoying the last few weeks, because they kind of haven't really had any direction, especially during the whole Indus share. I don't know what that was. Like, it just seemed so off. Like, and I never really got fully into it. So it was nice to just see them doing what they do best. Just let them wrestle. Just let them wrestle, please. My thing is with the whole Ivy thing is I'm thinking that might lead to maybe them separating, because I've felt for a long time that Ivy has been more held back being attached to them than it's been like a positive personally. And maybe she might just take her services elsewhere, or just focus on herself now. That's what she needs to do, and not Diamond Mine.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, I do think, maybe this will be a little better for her if she kind of separates, just because it seems like she's a little too concerned about, what's been going on with them, that we don't really know what's going on with her and direction wise for her. And so that really well could be it. But yeah, definitely an awesome way. Again, the Creed brothers are just, and I feel like I say this often, but they're such a phenomenal tag team. And it's like, that's what I was kind of sad about them, like, losing. But it's also like Gallus is really good as well. It was a really well deserved win. They all really delivered in this. and why I don't really let the Dyad, them and the Dyad in general can wrestle. And so it was really nice to kind of see that, where I was like, okay, guys, all right. And so I really thought it was a really solid way to open up the show. Which then leads us to our next match, which is where we had the debut from NXT UK. He did win the NXT UK Heritage Cup. And so Namdar, I'm pronouncing his name right, Namdar. Noam. Excuse me, sorry, my guy. Noam, my bad. He, made his debut. He kind of I felt like, so I don't know. I feel like in this regard, it just kind of, I guess, made it just was unfortunate because it could have been a better, like, it was a squash match, and I don't particularly like I get what they're trying to do. Sometimes when they do these intros like this, or like re-debuts or whatever, but it's always like, why do we have to make the squash? And so I felt like he kind of his opponent was Miles Bourne, and he kind of taunted, him in this, but it was such a quick match. I felt like Miles did try to rally a little bit, but I feel like if anything we got from this match, we saw that he's very arrogant, and this may play on to some character development later on, because he definitely gave off a lot of arrogance. And so it's unfortunate because Miles kind of like really didn't get to shine the way he could have, and I felt like they couldn't. I think that's my thing. I just felt like I'm really funny about having these squash matches when people are supposed to be making a debut. I feel like one person has a squash match if their wrestling skill is more like a dominant forcing type, where they're like a big dude, and like you kind of might have to have a little bit more difficulty facing this person. But when it's just like, why? What I got from this was he was very arrogant. And we're gonna see that that's gonna probably be a thing in this. And so Noam did win this, and I don't know. It's unfortunate. And while I know I don't know how people really feel about Miles Bourne or anything, and I feel like, eventually he'll probably do some real challenging after this. But I felt like they could have given him a little better, just because it's like, he won Heritage Cup for a reason. Why do we have to make this like a squash match? And I don't really know how I felt about that. Otherwise, still, I guess, So what were your thoughts about his technical debut?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know. I feel like he should have just had a flat out, like, full on match with someone, not kind of like this kind of half wrestling, half squash, basically. Like, it wasn't really fully on. I think he could have had a better introduction. How basically what Joseph was saying, like, this intro just wasn't really it. Because I know, a lot of people know, especially the ones that watch the Cruiserweight Classic, we know what Noam does. We know what he does. So hopefully they, make the correct adjustments to that in the next week. And it was nice to see Miles, even though it's annoying to always see him in a squash. The same way I felt with Guru Raj. I'm like, oh my God, again. That's why. And then Dante Chen, you know what? They gave Dante Chen a little bit of time off. They said, you know what? We tired of using you. We're gonna let you get your time. Now it's Miles' turn. But I'm very intrigued by Miles, so I'm hoping eventually he starts to get his momentum going, and we can learn more about his character, because I think, mostly we only just see him in the ring, not a lot of backstory there. But yeah, no, I mean, it was a decent, quick match. It was just meant to kind of reintroduce Noam, so I mean, yeah, it was fine, but do better next week.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, because if you wasn't somebody who watched NXT UK, many people didn't. I was one of the people who did, but a lot of people did not watch it. And so it's like, if you're trying to introduce him to just the US audience, there's probably a better way to do it. And then I get, like, you got to have somebody who's more developmental, but it's like every time you get a squash, like every time you just used to get somebody over in a squash, like, come on. And I feel like that I would feel a little offended by that. Because if I was working hard and I'm like, no, Katrina, you about to take this squash, I'm like, well, damn, I might feel a little way about this. And so I'm just saying, like, you gotta do Miles like that. You don't gotta do him like that all the time. But I guess we'll change it up hopefully soon, hopefully. And so there was a segment where Josh Briggs did beg Kiana James to kind of talk to Brooks Jensen, who seemed like he got a little his fashion glow up. He got his little look, he got his little okay, looking fresh, looking new. And then why he also told him to kind of leave his office. And then there was also, Jensen and James kind of headed to Fallon's bar to kind of challenge Hindley and Briggs to a mixed tag match at Spring Breakin. And so I'm okay with this because I just need Fallon Hill. I just need to get beat up. I feel like after all the shenanigans that she's been doing for the last few months, just to get one good beat up, because you're the reason why I lost. Like, imagine me winning the belts, and I'm like, okay, now I gotta be stuck with you already, and I don't like you. Fine. And then I know about the whole bar thing, and I get I code grudge. I understand, but to an extent, it's like move on because you guys became champions, and you lost your championship because you was acting hating. And so I just need Kiana to kick her ass so we can move on from this. Like we can move on from this because I'm tired. I feel like if they have this at Spring Breakin' and then all of a sudden it's more nonsense, I'm like, all right, Sean, now I have to go use the government. Listen here, Michael. Listen here. Work this out. Work this out. Work it out. Get it together, Mr. Hickenbottom. Get it together. I am tired of this. Sis is clearly jealous. We got it. It's like we synced it, okay? We got it. We got it. And so I am really hoping that Fallon just get her ass kicked. And then we can move on with life. Because I'm over it. Just kick her ass. Now you're gonna be sad, I guess, not with a man, because clearly I'm thinking that's what it is too. I think she has crush on him, and that's why she's feeling all way. So now you're single and you got your ass beat. You can't have you don't want to have both. I'm not saying you can't thrive being single, because you can, but I'm just saying in this particular situation, clearly that's what the problem is. So just kick her ass and move on, and we can be done with this. I don't know. That's a good question. I do like Last Legend, but what are your thoughts about this segment?
Get her, Kiana. Get her. I'm tired. Honestly, people, like, I get it. Maybe Fallon's right. Maybe Kiana is making Jensen into a different person. But the way that you have gone about warning your friend has been horrendous. This could have been nipped in the bud weeks ago if you just verbalize this. You never want to talk to Jensen. It's always like this. They treated him like a child, essentially. Talking around him, talking to Kiana, never coming straight to him. And now that he's been manipulated by Kiana, they're upset. You should have just came to him. Not even weeks. This was months ago. You could have came to this man and ended it. But you treated him like a child. You didn't give him enough respect to come to him. And now you're confused. Kiana basically dressed him up like Pretty Deadly. I mean, that's it, Kiana girl. If you trying to talk, like, let me know. Like, if that's what I'm getting. But basically, Jensen, I'm happy that you're finally sticking up for yourself. Were you a little mean to Briggs? Just a little extra. I feel like Fallon deserved most of that, if not 90% of that rudeness, and Briggs 10 for allowing it. That's it. And I hope that they have this match. I hope Jensen and Kiana win. I haven't heard Fallon once complain about losing her titles. She don't even care. That's why Kiana is acting the way she is, because she's upset that they lost. This is where her anger and this is where her evil ways, as they say, are coming from, because she actually cares if she wins or loses a title, unlike Yeehaw Lady. I mean, Jesus. Like, that's it.
Oh, that Yeehaw. Yeah, I'm like I said, if I got, and then imagine this is another thing, because I forgot about this. That time when she was getting jumped and she had to help her, and then she let her loot. Like, then she didn't help her when she needed help her, but you helped her. Listen, after the match, after I helped you out when I didn't have to, after you was just talking smack, and then you let me get beat up, and I lost the title, we gonna fight before all this. She would have caught it in the parking lot. It would have to be at the parking lot. Now we gotta meet in the parking lot, not gonna kick ass. Because why? And so I understand why she's upset. I do. I feel like, get it together. There's plenty of, I just need to put this, hold on. Let's put this little comment up here. There are plenty of people who didn't want to team with other people, but you are champion. So act like one. That's it. You don't gotta like it. We all work with coworkers we don't like. We've been in a situation like, oh, I don't really like this person. We gotta work together, but you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like we just gotta get it together. So I just need her to kick ass because I'm tired of filing. Get over it. Then maybe she can go cry her bar about something else. Cry her bar about something else because man, please listen. Let's get me upset. And so after these segments, we had a little guest moment where Odyssey Jones was supposed to be heading out for a matchup. And it didn't really work out that way because a certain somebody, Bron Breakker, decided from the audience he was gonna kind of plant Odyssey Jones with a spear. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now, Bron. And so, you know, he did all that, and poor Duke probably, and this is the thing that makes me kind of sad, you know, because it's like, oh, you want Duke to do well. You want him to do well. But man, like that got him just, you know, beat up and stuff. Like, he's a big guy, you know, like, so he did all that. And because of that, this led poor, you know, honestly, I just had to, because I had to put this picture up because, like, look at him. Like, come on, my guy. Like, you can't just be this big of a guy just laying here like this. Like, why? Like, I just feel like, I hope you guys can see my mouth swirling in a circle. But just why? Why are you laying here like all disheveled? It just, like, I know it's a spear and spear is supposed to be devastating, but it was just like, really, guys? This okay, I guess. And so, you know, after all of that, pretty much this allowed Duke Hudson to kind of say that he was gonna, you know, he pretty much came and said he was gonna have, you know, fight Andre Chase, I guess, next week, which I was like, I mean, I guess if you're gonna come out and make a challenge, why is it not you? But I guess this is what we're gonna do. You know, like, why would you put Andre in a match with Bron Breakker knowing probably what the outcome's gonna be? Is beyond me, Mr. Duke, because you're the one who's supposed to be big. But during this, Duke did mock Bron Breakker about losing the title. You know, the crowd did say he was a loser, and you know, it even seemed like Bron was really annoyed by all of this. And so, while I thought maybe he was going to come out there, maybe her poor Odyssey, he was just laying on the side of the ring. You know, after all this, after getting spirit, he just had to sit there and I think that's what he was doing. He was probably thinking like, how did I, you know how you freeze frame and you go, how did I end up here? That's probably what happened because he was just sitting there real distraught. He was. And so I thought he's like, maybe he's gonna just come and be nice. No, I want to just throw Andre Chase in the match, which clearly means you're still being a heel. So even after, you know, we got sent and delivered, and it seemed like he was doing well. I just, why, guys? Like, why are you gonna just throw your homie in the match doing damn well? Bron gonna kick his, like, Bron's gonna beat him up. Like, that's not even fair. It's not even fair. Like, it's just, and so this is like, dude, this is what I'm talking about. You doing shenanigans because why are we doing this? Why didn't you put yourself in the match? You're a big guy. You go against Bron. Why do you put little Andre Chase? He's just there. Like, and this is not to discredit Andre's, you know, because he's gotten better. But how are you gonna just put him in a match like he didn't say? What if he didn't want to be in the match? You just assumed. So he about to get beat up, poor Andre, because Duke couldn't keep his mouth shut. but here we are. So what are your thoughts about this segment?
Duke is just proving what I keep saying. The whole thing at Stand and Deliver was a ruse. He is a heel. He is trying to chase you from the inside out. That's so obvious. Why would you volunteer Andre for a match knowing he just got his soul speared out of his body last week? Why wouldn't you take it on, Mr. MVP? Because you're scared. You're scared. You're a chicken. I'm so done with Duke. And like Andre, at some point, like I'm starting to get to a point where I don't even feel bad for Andre. Because you should have been kicked this man out. You got the videos, like NXT Anonymous then gave you how many videos on this man plotting on your downfall? You have it. You've seen the stuff that he's done. You've seen how he tried to make Thea feel inferior. All these things that he's done. And you still got this man in your school. You asking for it. And you know what, Bron? I hope when he's done with Andre, because yes, he will be winning. I'm not thinking about somebody like Bron isn't losing. That's the first thing I gotta say. I hope he runs out the ring and beats Duke up. And I hope he breaks the trophy as well. I hope he breaks that trophy that we was so worried about instead of Andre, that he jumped out the ring with the damn trophy and left Andre to lay on the floor. Poor Thea had more balls still in the damn ring taking care of Andre. What is wrong with you, Duke? Get this man out of here. He needs to beat. And poor Odyssey. I don't know what has happened. I have not seen such a fall from grace. From being runner-up in the breakout tournament to this. They doing him bad.
I was like, it made me really sad because the camera panned on him. Like, I didn't have to do a pan. You have to do the camera pan, watch him just lay on the floor like this. Like, now we see him stressed. We're not gonna let's get close and zoom to the fact that he laid out on the side of the ring. Like, that's so unnecessary. Just you didn't have to honestly like this. Like, I was just like, damn, like. Man, just sitting there like, what do I do now? Like, what do you do? I'm like, you just got speared for no reason, because he didn't do anything. He got speared for no reason, and then after he gets speared, he didn't even spear Duke. He should have speared Duke. Duke having people call me a loser, and you gonna let him just talk to you, and you gonna spear his ass? If I'm gonna spear one person, I'll spear everybody. Everybody gets spears like Oprah. Everybody getting spears. Okay, why didn't you spear him? Why? Poor Odyssey, just. Man, poor guy. I don't know. Hopefully, they do him better because it's terrible. It's terrible. it's terrible. But Duke, I feel like Duke definitely needs to get his butt kicked next week, so we can. Because I'm just like, all right, why? Why are you sitting here just doing shenanigans?
What if they're like, oh, Andre still wasn't able to, come back in time, so we need a fill-in, and then it's just Duke. Oh, please do it. I want to see him beat him up so bad. I want to see it.
I hope so. That's what you get. But how you gonna put Andre in the match? He's not even here to accept. How dare you? Okay, so yeah, I hope Duke get beat up. He needs to get all types of spears. Spear him all around. That's what he deserves. And you spear it, and put the trophy after he's speared and his body is laid up all disheveled in the ring. Then you put the trophy next to him. That's what you deserve. Okay, that's what he deserves. So we get our first women's action of the night with Roxanne Perez and Zoe Stark. And so it was nice to see my girlie back. It was nice to, it was nice to see my girlie back. And so they showed like a pre-match vignette, that Roxanne pretty much was saying that Zoe is a bully, and pretty much said to both Tiffany Stratton and Indy that she was going to go back after the NXT Women's Champion. And so I was like, okay. And so I thought this was a pretty, solid match. There was a moment where Roxanne did like a head scissors takedown and did like a top rope suicider. And then Zoe caught her and did like a, planted her into the ring apron, which I was like, okay, that was pretty solid. I think at one point Roxanne tried to do like something, and Zoe kind of like bobbed out of it or ducked out of it, and then she did like a combination super kick and like a half suplex, which I thought was really good. And Booker T, I'll give him his points for that. He did sell that really well during that. And then there was even like where it was I thought it was a really fantastic match. It was nice to kind of see, especially with Zoe talking all the smack that she was with this. I guess we're gonna see what's gonna happen. But pretty much after all of the smack that Zoe was talking, Roxanne did the pop rocks in a corner, and she won this matchup, which then led afterwards to kind of her being coming out, which it was nice to kind of Indy kind of came out to say that she's gonna come out and challenge Roxanne to a match at Spring Breakin, which led to Tiffany Stratton apparently feeling a way about all of this, and so she came out, I guess, offended that Indy went for Roxanne instead, which I'm guessing they're going to build to this like a triple threat. It's going to probably be Roxanne versus Tiffany versus Indy. At least this is what I feel like it's going to be. at some point, and it can very possibly be again because NXT brand is involved with this new draft, that this could very well be, you know, some of the last time we see some of these ladies as well. I do think Tiffany Stratton just needs more work. I stand by that. But otherwise, I thought there was a really solid match. I thought, you know, both ladies did well. I was okay with Roxanne winning. I like that Indy is kind of making herself being a fighting champion. And that's good. And so now she just have to keep on, you know, making sure that, you know, she just keep on tweaking what she does in the ring. But otherwise, I thought this was a really, really solid matchup. Tiffany did say Roxanne was a beatable challenge, and I'm like, now Tiffany, you about to be very sad right now, Mr. Tiffy time, because how dare you call Roxanne beatable when she wrestles better than you? Now you got to calm that down. You got to calm that down. This one I'm talking about. People get hype up because they're pretty. And you can be pretty and badass as possible. But you get too in your head that you're pretty and cute and you so beautiful, forgetting that you can't wrestle that well yet. You still got some tweaking to do. You got some tweaking to do. Not that she's poor, because it's not that. She can wrestle enough, but she needs to get it more on point. Hey, Anthony, thank you for popping on. And so I was like, now Tiffany, let's just calm that down. See, I'm a petty person, so I know I will be a heel of wrestles. I'm too petty and sarcastic to be a face. I'll be like, what do you have going on besides the looks? What do you have? And then you pop rock, and I'll pop rock unicorn. That's what I would say personally. And so she said that. I was like, you know, just that, you know, she had to remind her she was beaten because she did get beaten. And then she says, oh, it was 2022. 2022 wasn't that long ago. It's only April. That was 4 months ago. Sis, you lost. You can't talk shit and you lost. How you're beatable. She beat you. She beat you, sis. And so I'm just saying, like, she needs to tone that down just, you know, just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna let you know this right now, sir. I will always talk smack all the time. All the time. I will talk smack if I need to talk smack because she got too beside herself. You can be, you know, in your skill, but you lost at her, so you can't talk that much. You can't. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And then say all this like, cause you pretty, like, you're beatable, but you got beaten by me. The person that's how do you gonna call me beatable and I beat you? So what does that make you? That's what I would have said. If I'm beatable and I beat you, what does that make you? Beneath me. Beneath. See, you know, most times we're on the same page in this. So I'm just like, I'm saying this. I mean, I guess if this is what we're gonna do, Tiffany, that's what we're gonna do. But I think it's gonna be, like I said, I'm kind of interested to see what they're gonna do with this draft. Who's moving, who's staying? Because I feel like this is gonna really shake up. I mean, I feel like they're gonna really shake up some stuff here. But yeah, what were your thoughts of this matchup in Tiffany? With her clearly ridiculous shenanigans, because they were ridiculous.
I'm dead. No, I definitely enjoyed this. Like the minute the match was made, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a great match because I think Roxanne and Zoe are two of the very best in you know, NXT when it comes to that in-ring. Like they're just so smooth. You know, even though Cora said, you know, Zoe is always a challenger. Listen, she's the perfect challenger to have because I think she can work well with anyone. Like she's very good at making people look very good in the ring. I remember when she had some type of run-in with Nikita Lyons, and you know, Nikita was still new, but when it comes to Zoe, she just can work well with, I'd say 98% of anyone. Like she's just that good. So it was nice to see it. I feel like Zoe's in her last little bit of time in NXT, or that's how it feels, honestly. So I didn't expect that Roxanne would lose just because it's feeling like Zoe is almost done. So it wouldn't make any sense to give her a win. In terms of this match, can I just say, and I have to say, I know like that pinup look that Tiffany had, like she looked fantastic. I have to say, she looked so good. Like, I don't know. I love those type of looks. But her getting into this, I would have been okay if it was just Indy and Roxanne, but I mean, I love triple threats. Like that's one of my favorite type of matches because it's so much that can take place. Even with the tag match when it was a triple threat, like it just adds so many new layers to a match. So I mean, in that aspect, I'm excited. But again, I could have just had Indy and Roxanne. And I think that Indy's also having the same trope as like Wesley in terms of like everyone is so thinking, you know, they're so easy to beat, and you know, they're just looking past them instead of looking at them. And that's the same thing with Indy. So I see a lot of similarities in that. So I know that Indy's going to be definitely giving us a great reign.
Yeah, no, Tiffany looked fine. It's just I was just like, let's not be ridiculous. Just don't be ridiculous, because why? Like, imagine you beating you, I'm beating you, you talk smack to me. Like, you are beneath me. You gotta beat me first, then come back. So that's all. But she did look great. But we just gotta let's be for real. Let's not. This is you talking about what's 2022. You know what's in 2022? Delusion. Leave that in 2022. Leave the delusions back there. If that is so 2022 that you lost, well, so is deluded thoughts. Let's leave the deluded thoughts somewhere else. That is all. Because she was clearly deluded. Just clearly. So we had, I mean, it might be. And the thing is, she just, I mean, considering that she was gone for some time because of that injury, she's had a great, like, about a bunch of matches she's been involved in since then. No, she hasn't won the title, but she's been in some fantastic matches since coming back from injury. And so I guess we'll see.
You know what else? I just want to say, Anthony, while it does suck that she never really got to touch that title, you got to think of all the people who are also in this category of, you know, being the bridesmaid in NXT. You know, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, like Candice LeRae, Dakota. Like, come on.
I was upset about Bianca. I really was. I was like, why are we doing this?
Well, that's
like, how dare you?
That's good company to be in, though. So I wouldn't, take that as a slight at all.
I definitely agree with that one, because she's Bianca. I was upset with for a long time. I was like, oh, we're just gonna play around, huh? Like, she's not great. I mean, like her now. But the point was, I was a little annoyed. I'm not gonna lie. So after that, there was also a little segment with Pretty Deadly kind of explaining why they had to do what they did with Tony D'Angelo and Stacks. And so they're going to have a no rules match next week as well. So what were your thoughts about this challenge and this match we're going to get next week?
I mean, I don't even know why they had to explain themselves. How is it that Tony D and Stacks can kidnap a man in broad daylight? No one says anything. No one files a police report, but they come back, they get their lick back, and now everybody's like, despicable. Despicable. Kidnapping is probably more despicable than a beatdown at a wrestling. Like honestly, that's crazy to me. Pretty Deadly is 100% in the right here, but I feel like they're probably going to lose this match, and they're going to drive them in the trunk all the way to SmackDown or Raw. That's where they're taking this trunk. Unfortunately.
I'm sorry, I am not from. Okay, so I was born in Brooklyn, but I left Brooklyn at 9. So I am a Queens girly now. I always represent Queens. Haven't been Queens in a long time, so I didn't know I had an accent except for when I went to LA, and it was like, "Oh, you're from New York, huh?" And I'm like, "Oh, you mean, yeah, I guess." Hey. But no, it's like, you're right, because you said not a missing person, and they definitely did. Like, if this was me, I'm like, wait, am nobody concerned that I'm gone? You're not concerned? You're not care about me? And so, yeah, I don't know. You know how people like to do these double standards, because how is kidnapping okay? But the beating up is where you draw the line. Aren't y'all part of the mafia, the family? What the family? Now let's everybody knows when you're supposed to be the family. Mafia. What do mafia people do? Don't they people swimming with fishes? You getting ice picked up. You getting thrown in rivers. But the beat down is where you want to draw the line. The beat down. The beat down is where you're like, guys, I don't know. We just drawn some lines here. Like, that's where you draw the line, but you're part of the family. What family? Last I checked, usually when you're part of a family, there's some shady stuff happening. Just saying. And I recall what they was doing with Fat Tats with them before they went up to the main roster. I remember what the family was doing with them. I was like, y'all gonna act like we forgot. I didn't forget. It's again delusion. People clearly is deluded in NXT. They have memory lapses. Clearly, some dementia is happening. People are forgetting. Selective memory loss, where they don't know things are happening. Oh, you're in Kansas? Oh, I need to know, how is that? Because I feel like, how do you go from like the Bronx to like Kansas? I feel like I would be like devastatingly depressed. Like,
yeah, stand up.
I I feel like I would be so sick because it's so like quiet. I feel like, oh no, like there's no like some random police siren passing. Like I don't know. I'm just saying. But that's super awesome. But yes, I went to LA in December, and they was like, "Oh, you're not from here," and I'm like, "No." All I said was, "Is my order ready?" That's all I said, and I was like, "Well, damn, was it that strong?" I was unaware, I didn't know. But I'm saying, like, you can be part of the family when we all know how the families are in these kind of situations. You guys are usually doing shady stuff, but the beatdowns where you wanna draw the line. I just feel like, we just gotta see. But that's my point though. Like, if you are part of the mob, the family, and kidnapping is fine. You know what else is fine? Getting beat up. You people watch Goodfellas. What happened in Goodfellas? People got lit backs all the time in Goodfellas. Sometimes you say something to the person that like. Tomorrow you end up shut up up in your car. I mean, there was usually lit back. So the beat down should be the least of your worries if you kidnapping people. I feel like kidnapping is a lot worse. I don't want to be in the trunk. I don't do that. I feel like I want to be there. I just want to be able to go for my job and not worry about getting beat up or kidnapped in the parking lot. That's all I want to do. Okay. Now maybe I went to Toys R Us, kidnapping would probably been fine. To be honest, I hated that job, so I might have been okay with getting kidnapped in my job there. But otherwise, like that's not. It's no, like absolutely. So that's like, how are you mad about you kidnapping but the beat down? Do people get beat up all the time? I thought that's what they did. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying. If you a mobster, beating down should be part of the repertoire. You should be aware that this might happen. People get lip backs all the time. Get your coins. Get your coins. So that's always important. But yes, so it's gonna be an entertaining match. But I do feel like you said we're probably gonna get where they're gonna probably end up on SmackDown. And I don't know. I feel like they would do better on SmackDown. And I feel like you think of the differences of shows with like Raw and how SmackDown is, I feel like Pretty Deadly would thrive on SmackDown better than Raw. Personally, I don't know. I just feel like if they have to move, it should be SmackDown. I hope. Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like NXT is known for the kidnapping, and yet you want to beat down this man. Please, you kidnap like everybody gets kidnapped every week. People get kidnapped. I forgot who it was last year that got kidnapped. I was like, he just go trying to leave his job, and now he in the back of the truck. How like this how like I said, it would have been okay if this was my job when I worked at that godforsaken place. But that would have been okay. But like, you know what, kidnapper, thank you. But I do think that whenever we get I do think they will be better on SmackDown. I truly believe that. I feel like they would thrive better because it's just a different, like, even though we know it's like main roster people, we all know there is a clear difference between Raw shows and SmackDown shows, and I feel like they would thrive on SmackDown. I feel like Raw, they were poor guys. They wouldn't know. They would just wither away. And so let's move on to some more women's action with Gigi Dolin and Cora Jade. And so this was a decent match. I thought it was decent. I'm not really a fan of either one. Gonna be honest. Gigi did say that Cora was gonna pay for her comments. And I don't know. I feel like you can't say something like that, and then like it and I felt like it really wasn't much of a match, and that was I think the part that makes me like, oh, it's unfortunate because you could probably would have done something. Cora Jade just got back, and so you really could have done something with Cora Jade coming back, and then kind of Gigi, kind of like, even though the Jacy Jayne is close to it because Jacy Jayne did involve herself in this matchup. You would think this would have been a good way to also kind of establish both of them outside of that just a little bit, and so to have it be where Jacy kind of interfered and allowed Cora to kind of do, what she did to kind of get the win. It was kind of weird though to also say right after, you're gonna make somebody pay for the match, then you lose. I just feel like that sometimes you gotta just know not to say certain things. But we then after this, and so Jacy apparently, at later on, she said something about Gigi kind of abandoned her brother in a young situation, and I'm like, why are we once again bringing up these random situations? Why are we doing this? I mean, I guess also after this, Lyra, she decided that she was gonna kind of also challenge Cora Jade for next week's Spring Breakin as well, and so Cora really didn't get to celebrate because of that. So obviously this is a situation where Cora can't get rid of Lyra. which I'm okay with. And then Gigi clearly being derailed every time by Jacy Jayne. And so again, this could also very well be the last we see of some of these ladies again. Oh, sorry. The last we see of some of these ladies because we're going to have this draft. But I don't know. I just feel like the fact that we had to kind of get shown, like, why are you bringing up now her brother? I was already kind of annoyed when she was like, oh, it's like my mom abused me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. If my mom abused me, I am not going to compare that abuse to a friend leaving me. I'd be like, oh, well, it sucks. But I'm sure being abused by your mom make you feel away. I'm sure that makes you feel a lot more angry than like your friend. Like no, and so like now you mentioned brothers. Like why are we not bringing other family members into this? I was already uncomfortable with the mom reference. I felt like it was just so extra to add to this kind of scenario. And so I was like, oh no, let's bring your brother into this. Oh, now we got family. Let's make it a family affair. Why are we doing this? How are we supposed to be? We are family in these types of situations, these scenarios. We can't do that. And so I'm like, how are we just all regular? And yes, I just feel like, because yes, the parking lot is clearly a dangerous place. I'm just like, but why? Like, why are we saying? Like, why do you bring her brother? Like, that's so random. And I just like, I mean, even so, I just felt like it's such a thing to kind of throw in there because like you already compared, so Jason didn't seem to understand that why was she being compared to the mom being, and I didn't understand it because I felt like it was a really big thing to put out there. But then like, oh, you left your brother too. So now that's like, not only did she feel bad about her mom abusing her, but oh no, I didn't help my brother, which probably feels away. Like, what? I don't know how I feel about this. And that's unfortunate. But what were your thoughts of this matchup, and also I guess the challenges that happened afterwards, and also the random brother thing that just got thrown in there?
I mean, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I mean, I think if they had a little bit more time, it definitely could have been something even more. I think it definitely was pretty short. But I thought they had really good chemistry. I wish they would have touched on the fact that they did, tag together for the Dusty Classic way back when, but they really didn't. JC, please leave this lady alone. I am so tired of it. She keep popping up every time it looks like Gigi's gonna have anything positive happen. Like, I would be really upset if the next match they have. I mean, I get it. The bad guy has to win sometimes, but not this time, damn it! She is doing too much. I am sick of it. And like the stuff that she said about Gigi, it's like, girl, don't calm down. Like, JC's mouth is crazy. She be saying whatever. She lets every intrusive thought win. Ma'am, no. That's all I have to say. And in terms of Cora and Lyra, I'm glad to finally see that take place. I mean, we were waiting months. This was a feud that was taking place before Cora went on like a disappearing act for a certain amount of time in NXT. So I'm ready for this to happen. Like, I've been waiting a while now. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, if I was personally, I know how I am. I know how my mouth is. Like I said, this about me. That's where I know I couldn't. Like I said, this is why I know I can't be wrestling, because I feel like there's just certain things you're not going to say to me. Excuse me. As soon as family get brought up, okay, so we fighting. Clearly, that's what you mean. We are fighting. Parking lot, because the parking lot's the place to be. Apparently, we fighting because why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But yeah, I guess we'll see. I just can we stop just bringing up? I feel like this is really extra to bring, because I feel like why it's like you being, people lose friends every day, and I say like we've all had a friend that we was real close to, and then they hurt us and made us sad, and we were like, well, this hurts, but this doesn't compare to like parental abuse. Like what? No, and I'm with you, because why? That is not the same level of sadness. I guarantee you, your mom beating you up is not the same thing as your friend. Like, well, we're not gonna be friends anymore. Let me tell you that I'm better than you. Like, it sucks, but it ain't the same level of pain. I don't know. I feel like it's mad dramatic, but we'll see. I have been over it. As soon as she said that, I was over it. I was like, oh. First of all, Jason's sitting here lying like she was even an important member of the group. Like, you know how I always say there's groups, and there's always that one member that you're like, you're not really that important. Let's call a spade a spade. When you talk about it was Devin, Mandy Rose, and Gigi, everybody liked Mandy Rose. and then it was Gigi. You was the third tier member. I talk about you bet. Like, I just need you to once again tune that down. just a little bit tuning that down. But yeah. And so afterward, in this case, it is not making a better story. I was really confused about why we're bringing all this up because it felt so out of the blue. That's what it was. I felt like if he was alluding to that she might have had some issues like put some Easter eggs in there or put some foreshadowing previously, that would have made more sense. But just to throw that out there, I was really confused. And so after this, we had a segment backstage where Ron Wagner was pretty much opening up to Mr. Robert Stone backstage, and it seemed like he was like maybe he kind of stick around a little longer. We also had Hank Walker celebrate Tank at the Performance Center, and Tank kind of told Danny that she would have a special moment when she debuted in the main roster, which I'm assuming, that'd be pretty cool. And then we also had a comic book style vignette of Axiom, who says he is going to get rid of scripts, which he needs to, because I am tired of scripts as well. And so what were your thoughts about this matchup? Oh, rather these segments, excuse me.
Vaughn, nobody wins. Because you know what? You had year plus to come to this. Robert kept asking you, can you please chill out? Let's work on something. No, you gotta go. Like very like caveman-ish. Like that's you. That's you. You just asking for fights. You know you can't win. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you're not. You lack self-awareness. But you was picking fights. Robert was begging and pleading with you to work with him. Now, when he finally doesn't want to work with you, now you want to work. Now you're ready to open up. Well, I don't give a damn. I'm closing the book. That's what I have to say about that. And I can't translate that. Yeah, and then also the stuff with Hank and Tank Ledger. I think that would be a cute team. I forgot who brought it up, but someone said they'd be a cute little heavy machinery type team. And especially when he got on his back, he was like, Hank and Tank. Like, it's cute. I see the vision. I think that Hank might be better doing maybe something more in a team than, by himself. And in terms of Axiom and scripts, you would think someone would leave them alone after you kick their throat into the NXT parking lot and then someone ran over it. You would think that they would leave you alone after you did that. Scripps is a different person. Okay, Axiom's just going to have to kick that throat again, further than what he did last time. And they keep saying how, they both were kind of saying how they want to reveal and, we're revealing. So I'm assuming there will be some type of demasking because they both were very heavy on someone will be exposed or revealed, both of them, so.
Yeah, and you know how it is when people get to remove the mask. I feel like if anything, it'd probably be scripts though. I'm gonna be honest, but I feel like Axiom is like, would you really do that? When I think it translates well that he's just a guy in a mask, kind of kicking, doing what he does. So I don't know. I feel like it has to be scripts if you're gonna have some unrevealing of masks. So this then leads us to our matchup with Apollo Crews versus Dijak, and so. I thought this was actually a really good match. I'm not really a fan of Dijak, as I've said before, but and Apollo, yeah, I know how I felt. I gave enough Apollo Crews rants over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I know how I feel about Apollo Crews, but this was a good match for the most part. I felt like this kind of, if anything, because Dijak, they're building Dijak to look a certain way. This made Apollo Crews' credibility really go down the tube. And not that he really had much, honestly, because, he's been doing shenanigans after everything and talking about he needed his supervisions and everything, and it clearly wasn't working for him. But yeah, it kind of was a predictable win, I felt, because Dijak wound up winning this matchup. There was a moment like Apollo. Well, before this, I guess Dijak kind of knocked the cameraman, and this was about the matchup in the first place. And so Apollo did like a move that was like a standing moonsault, which I thought was good, but then he got caught in like a in the throat by a choke slam, which I was like, well, damn. And I felt like while they worked really well together and everything, it definitely showed that they're trying to really push Dijak in all of this, and so it made Apollo Crews really didn't help him in any of this. And so after all of that, Dijak did win this matchup, which then caused Island Dragunov to kind of come and like kind of put a thing. And so I love Island Dragon, as I told you guys before. And so I think whenever we're gonna release get this, it's gonna be like something it's gonna be something like, you know, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a good matchup. But it's just like, we did know Apollo was going to lose this, and this is what he deserves anyway for those shenanigans he's been doing for the last few weeks. And so I'm guessing at some point, if he doesn't get moved back to the main roster after the draft, maybe he'll get a new first look and won't be doing the nonsense he did with saying he was going to be African heritage, but then he didn't want to do African heritage and felt all embarrassed, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully he will leave these superhero powers alone and clearly sadness about his heritage alone, and we get something better from him. Maybe. We don't know. Maybe after the draft they can spice this back up. But what were your thoughts of this matchup and the aftermath?
No, yeah, this was my match of the night. I mean, they were so locked in between the 3 suplexes from Apollo, between Dijak catching Apollo mid-flip and then doing a sit-out, chokes him. I'm like, oh no, they're going crazy. Like, I need to see them wrestle again, personally, for no reason. Just do it. Honestly, just do it. Put a ring in the middle of the street and just let them go. Just let them go. In terms of the Dragunov part, I'm so excited for this match. Do you understand? I really believe this is going to be one of the best matches of the year. I'm telling you, I feel it in my bones. Like, the way they both wrestle is crazy. I'm ready.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a fantastic match. I just don't really like Dijak, but I do think it's going to be fantastic, a fantastic match. I think he's a great wrestler. I'm not a fan. Clearly, he need to do something. Maybe he need to call Cleo. Yeah, remember Cleo from the 90s? Like, I'm revealing my age now. You remember Cleo from the 90s? Like, you know, she used to do the little psychic. That's what he needs. Clearly, he needs her to refresh that for him. But before we get into the last bit of the NXT, let's check out the awesome, fabulous commercial from our CEO, TK Trinidad.
Hey peeps, TK Trinidad here, boss lady of Women's Wrestling Talk. And I want to say thank you so much for watching, because you've got millions of options. Plus, you don't have to worry about sharing your password to check us out. But while you're here, hopefully you know we have so many more shows to watch, like Turnbuckle Glam, Raw Post Show, WoW Post Show, AEW Dynamite Post Show, Women's Wrestling Army Post Show, NXT Post Show, Impact Wrestling Post Show, AEW Rampage and SmackDown Live Post Show, On the Scroll, ROH Post Show, WWT Live, plus all of our interviews with the hottest women's wrestlers in the game. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website at www.talkpod.com and follow us on all social media platforms at www.talkpod, and make sure to spread the word. That means send this to the group chat. Yes, even the person with the green bubble. Thanks again so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
Always nice to hear from our little, yes, people, some of y'all know, Miss Cleo was, you know, he might need to talk to her. Maybe she can get him together, because clearly whatever he's doing isn't working, you know. And so after that, there was a little segment with Eddie Trope talking about his NXT feature with Mackenzie Mitchell, and was interrupted by Damon Kemp to kind of congratulate him, which I was like, I mean, okay, I guess. And so what were your thoughts about that little, it was a very quick segment.
Oh, I had to make some type of sound. But Eddie Thorpe, that outfit, like, he was giving Pretty Deadly a run for their money. I was like, you better let him know what that fashion do. Oh my God, he looked so good. Like, I love the look. Like, it was right. And I love that he was basically saying how he wanted to bring, you know, more eyes to, like, not like think of what the, you know, specific, like, you know, what's the normal narrative that people have for Native Americans. He wanted his own, you know, way to, like, show, this is me, I'm Native American, and, you know, don't just put us in a box of how we're supposed to look. I was all for that. And Damon, Mr. Angry Teddy Bear Kemp, comes, all the freaking supervillain laughing. All right, you're just gonna get beat up by Eddie, okay? That's what's happening, nothing more. I am such a fan of Eddie Thorpe. He snatched me with the look, like, snatched me. I'm so glad we have someone that's dressing down like that. So when Pretty Deadly leave, we need someone to hold the candle. We need someone.
I'm gonna have to agree there. He definitely, I was like, okay, all right, I see it. I see. You know, do you? So yeah, you're right. Like, I feel like we're gonna have somebody who makes sure to keep it up, keep us up to date with making sure everything is fabulous. I agree. Definitely agree with the look. I agree. You're right. And so this now brings us to our NXT North American Championship match with Wesley, our champion, versus Charlie Dempsey. You know, accompanied by Drew Gallus. And so this was a really really good match. I enjoyed it. I thought, you know, so while Wesley was entering the ring during this, Drew did attack uh Wesley, which apparently the referee didn't see. But you know, there was a lot of moments that I actually really thought was pretty like solid in this. He like, you know, it wasn't as, let's say, as action packed as his other matches, but I believe it's because Charlie Dempsey's style is a bit different. He's more of a technical type of a wrestler, and so I think Wesley kind of had to change that in his approach. And so, but this was a really good match. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really for me. I guess it shows how well he wrestles. Charlie, he went after each one of Wesley's like limbs, which again, super smart in that regard. And there was at one point like it felt like he was bending him where he could have like it was insane. I felt like this is why the matches wasn't as like high paced, because he slowed it down, and I think West was forced to kind of squeeze slow down to that as well. And so otherwise I thought this matchup was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this. But unfortunately, even though, you know, Wesley wound up retaining the pin after everything, because West was able to kind of catch him with an uppercut and then do his cardiac kick. Even though Drew did interfere in this match multiple times, this was a very hard hitting match. Uh Afterwards, I felt like they felt away, and Drew Gallus and Charles did beat him up and had him laid out in the ring. I think they held the belt over him as well. And so I don't know if they're implying that's who's going to be coming next for Wes's title. This person's going to be the next person in line. But I do think this is a really fantastic match, and it kind of showcase again two very different type styles of wrestling. But you know, I do think Charlie probably needs to pace just a little bit better, in my opinion, just a little bit better at pacing. But I thought it was a fantastic match considering the different styles. It worked. I thought it was really well done, and it kind of made Westbrook a little bit harder, I felt, because Charlie kept doing things. And again, I thought it was smart that he was literally going for limbs, because if I'm going to do all this, like kind of break you down to win. And even though it didn't work out for him, I thought it was smart. And so, what were your thoughts of this matchup?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. I liked, you know, Charlie's approach to this match. I mean, I figured he would go that route, which was the best. And I think it was a different challenge for Wesley. A lot of times his previous matches were people just trying to match his energy, you know, in terms of, you know, trying to bring him down to what their energy was. So I definitely got what you meant when you said that, you know, Charlie took hold of the match and kind of like controlled the pace, which was, you know, hey, get your, and I'm hoping moving forward, Charlie does get a little bit more of a story and, you know, gets a little bit more involved in a lot of, you know, the main storylines in NXT, because I do think he's really talented. And I love that he's, you know, with Drew Gulak and they're having their thing. I'm seeing maybe, like, I don't know who's going to be next specifically. Like, we don't know anything, but this has been an amazing run for Wesley, though. Like, I have to say it has been a really, really good run. And I'm really happy because, again, you know, so many people counted him out once, you know, his partner left, and he's exceeded every expectation. It's great. Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I guess we'll see what happens to her. I do think they're gonna give her more story as well, but I do think they really put on a show. It was a really good way to end off matches in NXT. And before, as I forgot to mention, before we had the main event, it was a little vignette of Oba Femi. I believe he's will be a debut next week. And so I was like, okay. Well, you know, we're getting some more debuts as well as people who clearly will be leaving, and so that's pretty awesome. Which now leads us to the last part of NXT with the Grayson Waller Effect, featuring Mr. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. And so I just need to say that Carmelo was looking sharp as always. He definitely was. He was given, as he always does. And so, Grayson did tell before this that he said he felt he would be the NXT champion by the time Spring Breakin ends. He said this to Mackenzie Mitchell, clearly just, talking a lot of nonsense because he acting like he didn't really lose. I mean, I just feel like you gotta get beside yourself. I don't know. But he Carmelo and Trick did kind of taunt him for, losing on a big stage, and he definitely did multiple times. And then he said he would Grayson said he would probably win no matter what. It was pretty solid way to end it. It didn't last I feel like I guess we will see because again we do have this draft coming up, and I think Grayson did mention that Carmelo will join the Hurt Business after all of this, and I'm like, well, I don't know why you're gonna just assume that's what's gonna be, but I mean I feel like that would have got you flipped for that. He also said that Trick was he was the reason supposedly he got like Trick upset saying he was the reason he was a champion, blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, agreed. I don't know how he keeps getting champion. He keeps losing. I don't understand how he keeps losing and keep getting more title shots. He literally lost Braun multiple times, and now you back to the next challenger. I don't understand how this is working, but it could be very possible that maybe they want Carmelo Hayes on the main roster really quickly. I'm just hoping, like, if you're gonna lose somebody, let it be Grayson, who already lost multiple times. Let that be Grayson, because now I feel like that discredits Carmelo's Braun win. Because Braun kicked Grayson's ass multiple times. So it's like you can't have him lose to Grayson, who already lost multiple times, because now it discredits your win over Braun. And so I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I don't know why. Hey, he has another chance, but clearly he thinks he's gonna get it. I don't know what we're gonna get right now because again the draft is April 28th. That's literally very soon. Next Friday, I believe. And I don't know what's gonna happen in the draft, who's going where, if they're really trying to move Carmelo, because Carmelo does have the things you would want in the a superstar, then I guess fine. But I just feel like if Carmelo loses to Grayson, who Grayson already lost multiple times, I feel like it discredits his win against Braun because he was the one to beat Braun. So I don't know. I feel like we'll see, because again, if they're trying to get Carmelo to the different thing, I would be okay with him moving on, and then they'll figure out what to do with the championship, because that's what they did technically with Roxanne. Technically, she got sick, and they just like, we do something for the NXT champion, and I would be okay with that if he just kind of left. Thank you as always for making sure to pop on. I just feel like it just doesn't discredit Carmelo's work, because I feel like if like the one person that was able to beat Braun, and then you lose to the person that got beat up by the other person, like I don't know. It just, you can't have him lose to somebody that Braun beat multiple times, because it now makes him look bad, and maybe even Braun look bad because you beat Braun, who he beat Grayson multiple times. I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna move him, maybe have him leave after he wins, and maybe do something else with the title. Look what they did with freaking Solaskoa, where he won, and then they made some little random loophole, and then he had lost the title. Maybe do some nonsense like that, where it's like it's a way to make. I just feel like, no, let's not do that to Carmelo. He doesn't deserve that. Not with somebody who already lost multiple times on the big stage, as was said. But what were your thoughts of the final segment of NXT?
I thought it was a lot of delusion on Grayson's part, as usual, always very much delusional. I loved when Carmelo was like, oh, let's put your accomplishments on the screen. Oh, that's right, you won't have any. That's the truth. Somebody needs to start sitting this man down and having in-depth conversations with him, because it's getting out of hand at this point. Why are you feeling so entitled to all these things when all you keep doing is putting up L's? You're not putting up no numbers. All you're doing is drinking out of shoes. That is not that's not something to say, you know what, I deserve a title shot because I drank out of a shoe. You need to go see a doctor. Yes, what you need. You deserve a doctor's appointment of whatever you drinking about that shoe, whatever is coming off them socks. That is wrong. And also, I agree. It does. And if he were to beat Carmelo, it would invalidate, Carmelo's win. It would invalidate Bron as well. It just would not be a positive whatsoever. So, Grayson, have your little match. You better lose. He better lose. I'm telling you, I will not be like, listen, don't, please. Give Carmelo his time with the title. Let him, he deserves it. And then, you know what, Grayson? You can take yourself up to the main roster. Let them deal with that. I'm done dealing with it week by week with your delusions. Take Duke with you, since you both just as delusional. Take you both. Take Duke and take the trophy. Take it all. Just get out. I'm ready.
That means take Fallon with y'all too, because she been pissing me off about so take her. But no, I don't know. I feel like it's just gonna make Carmelo look really bad, because like you can't beat the one person that's able to beat Bron all this time. Listen, I was upset about that too. You can't have the one person that was able to beat Bron after all his title, because he had a lot of title matches. He really did work. And then to have him lose to Grayson, who lost mad times. Be for real. Be for real. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with him, but I feel like I can't have the man lose to stop. And then I don't know. Just let's stop the shenanigans. I feel like he's gonna be with Austin Theory? Austin Theory gets on my nerves as well. It's gonna be two annoying ass people up there just getting me mad every time, because like Austin really upsets me. His face just irks my soul to like a whole new level of irking. I just feel like see his face, I just wanna like real quick every time I see his face. And so I feel like you can't have him and Grayson, because there's now two really annoying people. Like this irritates my soul. We don't need that. I feel like you just put them not on the same show. I can't deal. I feel like
what? I think his bottom his bottom foot sock juice is getting to his brain. It has to be all that heel and soul juice, just all up in there, just messing it up. He's messed up.
So I don't know. We'll just don't dance Carmelo. I feel like Carmelo better win, because let's not play this game. That's going to invalidate everything Carmelo worked for. And I feel like that. No. Let's not do that. Especially since we thought he might have gotten the NXT North American Championship back, and then he lost it. I don't know if I even call him a first level boss. He's like the random. You have like the random guys in the background in those games. Where it's just like you might beat them up for fun, but they don't really mean anything. But you might just like look how people do you play GTA and you beat up the random people for no reason. They're just there. You're like, I'm gonna steal your car, but I'm gonna beat you up too. And the person didn't do anything, but I'm gonna beat them up. That's what he is. He is that random person you beat up just because. Do not put. I'm not trying to put a negative energy in the air. I'm just saying that they're both really annoying. They're both really annoying. I cannot have them both on the same show. I cannot. Like I feel like I'm gonna have. I can't. Can we not? Just like that. I feel like Grayson's the person you just beat him up. You just like, oh, I want to do nothing with my time. I got some time to kill. You waiting for your friends to pop in. You kick somebody's ass while you're waiting. That's what it is. That's what Grayson is. He doesn't even get first level boss. He's not. That's too good. No. He's that annoying person you kick his ass while you're waiting. You're in a little character lobby waiting for your buddies. And you're like, you know what? While I'm waiting for the homies, let me just kick this guy's ass. That's what Grayson's at. But that is it for the NXT recap. That is how NXT he did. But he needs to lose, because like I said, you can't come to a man's home and then you can't do that. Can't do that. See, why are you putting this negativity? I feel like now you're making names now. You're making tag team names. You putting this type of negativity in the universe. Don't do that. Don't do that. All I said was let's have them on the same show, because they both really irk my soul. Like I feel a level of hatred. I should not hatred, but I feel a level of anger. I just want to just start slapping people like them particularly. But now why would you put that? Now you got a name in there. Watch somebody hear this and see this, and they're gonna be like, you know what, guys, you're right. And now we're gonna have this nonsense on Monday Night Raw on a 3-hour show that already annoys me. Why are we gonna do this? Why? Like, why are you putting the negativity in the air like that? I just feel like let's not hurt people's feelings. Let's not put that kind of stuff in the air. But that is the end of the NXT recap this week. It's pretty solid. What are your final thoughts on the episode?
Great episode. Definitely enjoyed it. It made me excited for next week. I just know that we're gonna get a really good set of matches. Yeah. Good episode.
Yeah, I do think it's gonna be an awesome Spring Breakin. I'm looking forward to it. It's weird to have it after everybody's spring breaks over, but whatever works. I think this was a really solid week. But as always, guys, we appreciate you guys. Let everybody know, Shay, what you got going on and where they can find you.
Okay, so you can catch a new episode on Monday from the Big Pop Theory podcast. That'll be on Spotify, so definitely check that out. Usually gets put on there about 12 o'clock. Then on Tuesday, it'll be my last show for UPR NXT, but I'll still be doing NXT here, so it's okay. So definitely pop out for that. And then on Thursday, you can catch me right back here, 5 o'clock for the Women's Wrestling Army review show. And then after, for the NXT after show with this amazing, I'm doing the wrong way, amazing, iconic, never been done before woman right here. And you can catch me on Twitter and everything at ShaySawyer_. It's always the same.
So sweet. For me, I'm on most social media platforms and Cat We Trust. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, the E is 3. I did, because I know I solely slack, guys. I really be slacking. I do. I did release a new interview earlier in the week with, or it might have been last week or whatever. It was a new interview release. Damia, who's a little play, super awesome rising wrestler. Playing off of You Like Anime, My Hero Academia, super awesome. I also did go on a rant. I had 2 new videos just released. I did a reaction video to Insidious, The Red Door. Insidious, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I just had to be like, oh, let me do one of these videos. I never do them on time. Let me do one finally. And so I did do a reaction video to that about my thoughts. But I also got to see an early screening of Evil Dead Rises. If you are Evil Dead horror movie fan, then you know what it is. And I did get to see an early screening, and I did go on a couple of rants. Because, as people know, sometimes people do dumb white people shit in horror movies, and that's what happened. And so I did go on a rant. So if you want to see it, do not watch the video. There's a lot of spoilers in there, but if you do, definitely go check that out on my YouTube channel. And then, as always, when I'm putting things, I'm trying to be more consistent. I've heard something very similar said before about me ranting. I'm going to try to be more consistent. I do have 2 more interviews coming up as well. And so that's where you catch me on Women's Wrestling Talk on Mondays for Wild Superheroes with Stephanie and Emily May. And as always, on Thursdays with my lovely sister over there, Shay, for NXT recap. But guys, as always, you guys are always keeping us entertained, and we love you guys and appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. But we will catch you guys next week to review Spring Breakin for NXT. Later, guys.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.